Do not worry, I'm already making it. You want to start with your crust in a springform pan just like this. The crust is literally just crumpled up cookie pieces and butter. Whip heavy whipping cream till stiff peak. First, we put the chocolate mousse on top of the crust. After the base, you're going to put in the cream cheese. After you mix your cream cheese, you're going to put in your cream that is at stiff peak. Now start folding over. Next, you fold it over. Now that it's covered, we're going to put the ganache on top. Now we make our ganache. Push over the top of the... Oh my... It looks so good! Oh my goodness. Now we're going to put this in the fridge. Oh my goodness. This is what it looks like after. Okay. Oh my goodness. This came out so well. Here's a slice with the mousse on the bottom. Let's give it a try.
Who you came with? I came with old Dwight.
Hi, gorgeous.
Hey.
Hello, gorgeous.
I don't get a hug?
Not really.
Okay.
Okay, too, boo.
Boo was that was last
Boo
year.
is, well, he needs to be. No, this is this year.
Save-
This is this year.
No, save
No,
save the
whatever.
drama for somebody
No, you
else.
say the drama for somebody else. You really need to come correct, honey.
Out of my
Wash your
face,
hands.
Dee.
Wash your hands. Just keep. Wash your hands. Let me give you the little money that he owe you, boo. Let me give you your $500. Here you go. Take that and cash it.
Give me
now, why
cash.
you tell
I gave him cash.
Oh, bitch, please. Who you came with?
Chief, from reviewing this portion of the video, what policy violations did you see?
That he was using his light, the light of his gun to illuminate the area. Yes.
Were they at a distance?
Were they what?
Objection, I'm going to object to speculation.
Share whatever video they have, and
I don't know that,
I understand.
respectfully, I don't know that you have the authority to compel them. Chief, from reviewing this portion of the video, what policy violations did you see?
That he was using his light, the light of his gun to illuminate the area. Yes.
Were they at a distance?
Were they what?
Objection, I'm going to object to speculation.
share whatever video they have, and
I don't know that,
I understand.
respectfully, I don't know that you have the authority to compel them to share their work product with us.
He does it without a written order at it. The thing was, it wasn't set up beforehand, so we don't even know if we have.
Well, you see, he was here first, okay?
It's a public proceeding. Every individual in this room should, that is a member of the
I
public,
have to
should be
balance.
similarly situated,
Okay.
should be afforded,
This is the third time I've said this, and this is gonna be the last time I say it.
sure.
I have to balance their needs, the press's needs. So
Case goes
now,
on recording.
I'm coming in, and basically, you're asking me for things. They have concerns about witnesses being distracted and protecting their conversation, which I totally understand. If we get going, then that's it.
That defeats the whole point. The matter of public concern is this very
But you're
arbitration
here,
proceeding.
and you can record the audio, is what I'm telling you. You can do that.
Is the city's position that they don't,
Nobody is stopping you from being here. There's no...
the city's position though is that we cannot record video, we can only record audio?
This is a public hearing, it's open to the public. Nobody is stopping the public from being here.
Correct, but that's not my question. My question is the city's position that we are not allowed to record video?
That's deferred to the arbitrator.
Only if there's an agreement reached by all sides ahead of time. I'm literally reading the collective.
No stick drift over time. Low dead zones, high dead zones. Uses magnets, uses plastic potentiometers. Fast response time, standard response time. These do cost a little bit more. The lifespan of your controller is greatly
All right, so that one. Oh, that one. I love that. That one. Not that one. Joanne! Joanne, please, please come back to me. Come back to me, Joanne. Yeah, no, if you're a true American, then you wouldn't want to do this. Your post says all I need to know about you, about your scumbag ass. These Somalians are nothing but ISIS terrorist Muslim piece of blah, 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 blah. Yeah, no shit. You gotta love them crazy people, man.
特別なゲストにおいでいただいております。ビツコラコイちゃんよ。8歳のちいちゃなブリアナギガンテさんにお越しいただいております。お友達とか周りの大人たちにヘンチクリンだよなんて言われちゃって、その方々のために生きてるわけではないからさ、私たちは私たちのために生きてるからね。ちょっと次の方来るからさ、ファッションに年齢って関係あるのってこの辺に関していかが思いますか？特別なゲストにおいでいただいております。ビツコラコイちゃうよ。8歳のちー。ってやっぱり人を。
Kai is a rat and also maybe the mind flayer. Will is currently the spy, and that's why this scene feels so.
2025 is almost over, and I just wanted to let you know that you're the gayest person I've known all year.
Officer 1491 Rose claiming he is drunk on camera. It's a weird thing to claim.
Drunk with
but
happiness.
Okay, bro.
All right.
You don't.
What?
You're gonna video.
We're asking Microsoft Associates, which... Maybe it's time to get your eyes checked. I'm joking. What initially looks like a bust of a hawk is actually just a jumbled up amalgamation of junk. Talk about a shift in perspective. Send this to someone whose favorite non-alcoholic beverage is semen. Maybe it's time to get your eyes checked. I'm joking. What initially looks like a bust of a hawk is actually just a jumbled up amalgamation of junk. Talk about a shift in perspective. Send this to someone whose favorite non-alcoholic beverage is semen. Maybe it's time to get your eyes checked. I'm joking. What initially looks like a bust of a hawk is actually just a jumbled up amalgamation of junk. Talk about a shift in perspective. Send this to someone whose favorite non-alcoholic beverage is semen. Maybe it's time to get your eyes checked. I'm joking. What initially looks like a bust of a hawk is actually just a jumbled up amalgamation of junk. Talk about a shift in perspective. Send this to someone whose favorite non-alcoholic beverage is semen. Maybe it's time to get your eyes checked. I'm joking. What initially looks like a bust of a hawk is actually just a jumbled up amalgamation of junk. Talk about a shift in perspective. Send this to someone whose favorite non-alcoholic beverage is semen. Maybe it's time to get your eyes checked. I'm joking. What initially looks like a bust of a hawk is actually just a jumbled up amalgamation of junk. Talk about a shift in perspective. Send this to someone whose favorite non-alcoholic beverage is semen. Maybe it's time to get your eyes checked. I'm joking. What initially looks like a bust of a hawk is actually just a jumbled up amalgamation of junk. Talk about a shift in perspective. Send this to someone whose favorite non-alcoholic beverage is semen. Maybe it's time to get your eyes checked. I'm joking. What initially looks like a bust of a hawk is actually just a jumbled up amalgamation of junk. Talk about a shift in perspective. Send this to someone whose favorite non-alcoholic beverage is semen. Maybe it's time to get your eyes checked. I'm joking. What initially looks like a bust of a hawk is actually just a jumbled up amalgamation of junk. Talk about a shift in perspective. Send this to someone whose favorite non-alcoholic beverage is semen. Maybe it's time to get your eyes checked. I'm joking. What initially looks like a bust of a hawk is actually just a jumbled up amalgamation of junk. Talk about a shift in perspective. Send this to someone whose favorite non-alcoholic beverage is semen. Maybe it's time to get your eyes checked. I'm joking. What initially looks like a bust of a hawk is actually just a jumbled up amalgamation of junk. Talk about a shift in perspective. Send this to someone whose favorite non-alcoholic beverage is semen. Maybe it's time to get your eyes checked. I'm joking. What initially looks like a bust of a hawk is actually just a jumbled up amalgamation of junk. Talk about a shift in perspective. Send this to someone whose favorite non-alcoholic beverage is semen. Maybe it's time to get your eyes checked. I'm joking. What initially looks like a bust of a hawk is actually just a jumbled up amalgamation of junk. Talk about a shift in perspective. Send this to someone whose favorite non-alcoholic beverage is semen. Maybe it's time to get your eyes checked. I'm joking. What initially looks like a bust of a hawk is actually just a jumbled up amalgamation of junk. Talk about a shift in perspective. Son, this is someone whose favorite non-alcoholic beverage is semen. Maybe it's time to get your eyes checked. I'm joking. What initially looks like a bust of a hawk is actually just a jumbled up amalgamation of junk. Talk about a shift in perspective. Son, this is someone whose favorite non-alcoholic beverage is semen. Maybe it's time to get your eyes checked. I'm joking. What initially looks like a bust of a hawk is actually just a jumbled up amalgamation of junk. Talk about a shift in perspective. Son, this is someone whose favorite non-alcoholic beverage is semen. Maybe it's time to get your eyes checked. I'm joking. What initially looks like a bust of a hawk is actually just a jumbled up amalgamation of junk. Talk about a shift in perspective. Son, this is someone whose favorite non-alcoholic beverage is semen. Maybe it's time to get your eyes checked. I'm joking. What initially looks like a bust of a hawk is actually just a jumbled up amalgamation of junk. Talk about a shift in perspective. Son, this is someone whose favorite non-alcoholic beverage is semen. Maybe it's time to get your eyes checked. I'm joking. What initially looks like a bust of a hawk is actually just a jumbled up amalgamation of junk. Talk about a shift in perspective. Son, this is someone whose favorite non-alcoholic beverage is semen. Maybe it's time to get your eyes checked. I'm joking. What initially looks like a bust of a hawk is actually just a jumbled up amalgamation of junk. Talk about a shift in perspective. Son, this is someone whose favorite non-alcoholic beverage is semen. Maybe it's time to get your eyes checked. I'm joking. What initially looks like a bust of a hawk is actually just a jumbled up amalgamation of junk. Talk about a shift in perspective. Son, this is someone whose favorite non-alcoholic beverage is semen. Maybe it's time to get your eyes checked. I'm joking. What initially looks like a bust of a hawk is actually just a jumbled up amalgamation of junk. Talk about a shift in perspective. Son, this is someone whose favorite non-alcoholic beverage is semen. Maybe it's time to get your eyes checked. I'm joking. What initially looks like a bust of a hawk is actually just a jumbled up amalgamation of junk. Talk about a shift in perspective. Son, this is someone whose favorite non-alcoholic beverage is semen. Maybe it's time to get your eyes checked. I'm joking. What initially looks like a bust of a hawk is actually just a jumbled up amalgamation of junk. Talk about a shift in perspective. Son, this is someone whose favorite non-alcoholic beverage is semen. Maybe it's time to get your eyes checked. I'm joking. What initially looks like a bust of a hawk is actually just a jumbled up amalgamation of junk. Talk about a shift in perspective. Son, this is someone whose favorite non-alcoholic beverage is semen. Maybe it's time to get your eyes checked. I'm joking. What initially looks like a bust of a hawk is actually just a jumbled up amalgamation of junk. Talk about a shift in perspective. Son, this is someone whose favorite non-alcoholic beverage is semen. Maybe it's time to get your eyes checked. I'm joking. What initially looks like a bust of a hawk is actually just a jumbled up amalgamation of junk. Talk about a shift in perspective. Son, this is someone whose favorite non-alcoholic beverage is semen. Maybe it's time to get your eyes checked. I'm joking. What initially looks like a bust of a hawk is actually just a jumbled up amalgamation of junk. Talk about a shift in perspective. Son, this is someone whose favorite non-alcoholic beverage is semen. Maybe it's time to get your eyes checked. I'm joking. What initially looks like a bust of a hawk is actually just a jumbled up amalgamation of junk. Talk about a shift in perspective. Son, this is someone whose favorite non-alcoholic beverage is semen. Maybe it's time to get your eyes checked. I'm joking. What initially looks like a bust of a hawk is actually just a jumbled up amalgamation of junk. Talk about a shift in perspective. Son, this is someone whose favorite non-alcoholic beverage is semen. Maybe it's time to get your eyes checked. I'm joking. What initially looks like a bust of a hawk is actually just a jumbled up amalgamation of junk. Talk about a shift in perspective. Son, this is someone whose favorite non-alcoholic beverage is semen. Maybe it's time to get your eyes checked. I'm joking. What initially looks like a bust of a hawk is actually just a jumbled up amalgamation of junk. Talk about a shift in perspective. Son, this is someone whose favorite non-alcoholic beverage is semen. Maybe it's time to get your eyes checked. I'm joking. What initially looks like a bust of a hawk is actually just a jumbled up amalgamation of junk. Talk about a shift in perspective. Son, this is someone whose favorite non-alcoholic beverage is semen. Maybe it's time to get your eyes checked. I'm joking. What initially looks like a bust of a hawk is actually just a jumbled up amalgamation of junk. Talk about a shift in perspective. Son, this is someone whose favorite non-alcoholic beverage is semen. Maybe it's time to get your eyes checked. I'm joking. What initially looks like a bust of a hawk is actually just a jumbled up amalgamation of junk. Talk about a shift in perspective. Son, this is someone whose favorite non-alcoholic beverage is semen. Maybe it's time to get your eyes checked. I'm joking. What initially looks like a bust of a hawk is actually just a jumbled up amalgamation of junk. Talk.
Which products they recommend.
Yo, Jimmy, doing this?
Yep.
I mean, I don't think.
You don't really seem happy. You seem like you're in the road.
2025 is almost
Kai is a rat and also maybe the Mind Flayer. Will is current.
特別なゲストに
All right.
Yeah, leave people alone. Don't you understand English? You have to wait. Have patience.
Stupids. The age of stupids is upon us. Okay, the age of stupids is upon us. And I was talking about how I was like tanking the aggro for this dumb video made by a very obvious grifter by the name of Nick Shirley, who is genuinely too stupid to make a convincing case. There's already backlash from the Nick Shitley video with threats, vandalism, and robbery reports from Somali daycares in Minneapolis. Oh my God, I can't believe it. Another thing that I said was going to happen. Again, if you want to know tomorrow's news, come here. If you want to be on the wrong side and not know what's going to happen tomorrow, or not even fully understand what's happening today, go anywhere else. In most places, they will just simply take the opposite position of mine, and it's actually pretty bad because the opposite position of mine is oftentimes going to be wrong. Yeah, right, but too early, as always. I can't believe they're still doing. Now you're defending blatant fraud. Actually pathetic little. First of all, I'm bigger. I'm the biggest your mom has ever seen. That's number one. Number two, okay? I'm not defending the fraud. If anything, the fraudulent behavior in this situation is a random YouTuber going up to a bunch of childcare facilities, demanding to see the children, and then not seeing any children because some of the facilities that he's going to is like outside of business hours and things like that. And then duping a bunch of dumb like yourself into believing that every single childcare facility that is owned and operated by Somalis in Minneapolis is actually fraudulent and has no children in it whatsoever. Don't worry. By the time the real news gets to you and your side of the internet, you will have moved the goalposts already, and you'll be like, oh, actually, we were talking about how the facilities are in a state of dire disrepair or something like that, okay? Once again, if you want to be wrong all the time, go elsewhere. If you want to know what's going to happen tomorrow or what's happening today, if you want to truly understand it, come here and listen to my words. Do not listen to my words from a negative filter. Try to understand what I'm saying, okay? There's never been a moment where I haven't said that I've never said that there's no fraud happening in Minneapolis. Of course, there's fraud happening in Minneapolis. The investigations first started in 2014 and then continued at separate dates. But the major investigation, the one that actually has finally gotten some convictions, started under the Brandon regime, under the Brandon DOJ. Okay, just so you understand. Not only did it happen, fraud happens all around the country, but specifically in Minneapolis, this fraudulent activity was the product, the arrest that took place and the convictions that came from this fraud investigation was a product of a multi-year cooperative investigation and court process that took place that was extensively covered by mainstream news. It is not anyone else's fault that you are oblivious to this stuff and you only heard about it for the first time through the dumbest way you possibly could. That does not mean that Nick Shitley is actually correct on any of the allegations that he made, okay? But it doesn't really matter because we are dealing with, unfortunately, a wave of stupids. This is the stupids era, which I will be talking about. 2026 is going to be the year of stupids, okay? It is what it is. And we have to really reconsider how we will navigate this landscape full of stupids, because this landscape is filled to the brim with stupids. Okay? Unfortunately, it is what it is. This is the reality. This is the makeup of the media landscape. And I will readjust my commentary in an effort to dial in and educate the stupids to the best of my ability.
Hey, show me the kids. Show me your kids. Hey, open up and let me and this elderly man look at all the kids in there. Well, they won't open up and let me see the kids, so they must be committing fraud.
That is pretty much this very viral video. And everybody that watched it, for some weird reason, including people who are like somewhat educated, saw that and went, that's good for me. I believe it. That's great journalism. Such fantastic journalism. How incredible. Now, of course, one of my biggest issues, as always, is that I am the #1 tank for all this aggro. Because as soon as I saw the video, I was in a state of disbelief. I could not believe that there were so many people that were looking at basically like a QAnon-style investigation that's not a real investigation at all, and going, well, this is brilliant work. I can't believe how smart this guy is. I can't believe how smart this investigation is. And it blew my mind. And people kept defending it over and over again. I mean, I'll even show you the Jack Mack TikTok that I saw. And I will be talking to Jack Mack in a little bit about that TikTok. But he basically put the timeline battle that took place when the day after Hassan the Sin Eater Piker. Yeah, no, it's insane. Vaguely reminds me of Pizzagate. Yeah. Congratulations. You made the list of 7 most annoying people on 2025 on Fox. Unfortunately, you have to share your spot with Nick Fuentes. I can't post a link, but search for 7 most annoying people of 2025 Fox. Wait, really? I mean, the fact that I have to share it with Nick Fuentes is gross, but if they put me up there, God, who's #1? That's pretty awesome. I mean, I love that Fox News hates me. Remember, I love when my enemies hate me, okay? Dan Gaynor, these are the 7 most annoying people of the year 2025. Jimmy Kimmel, he was funny 20 years ago. The View, the first of the pod people, more poddish people. Podcaster anti-Semite Nick Fuentes and Twitch anti-Semite Hassan Piker showed the world that the users of social media have one thing in common: hatred. I love that Fox News is saying we were doing too much hatred. Dog, you're a Fox News commentary person. The what do you mean I was doing too much hatred? That's awesome. Also, another testament to the word anti-Semite both being utterly meaningless and destroyed in this circumstance, putting up an actual anti-Semite with someone who combats anti-Semitism with regular frequency, a lot more than Fox News ever has, only to dilute the term anti-Semitism so stupidly that it almost feels as though it is by design. Piker, when he's not being accused of giving his dog electric shock, spends his time saying offensive things like America deserved 9/11. He later walked it back because of the backlash, but he still has millions of followers on multiple platforms. Fox News did an analysis of what he says, and it's so vile, I don't want to repeat it. He's all across major media. The Times called him a progressive mind and a body made for the manosphere. The press is desperate to recreate their own Joe Rogan. This is the best they got. Hell yeah. My favorite quote of yours is the 9/11 one. Yeah, I know. Convincing your enemies that you are dumb as a rock is OP, because then they have to give concessions to you since you cannot be reasoned with. Works especially better if your party's in power. Anyway, we'll get into this list in a second. I do love this though. This is awesome. This is I'll posterize this. But yeah, a Fox News correspondent did talk about homeless people, but that's just normal Fox News stuff, That's just Fox News things. Okay, where was I? Oh, we were going to talk about the stupids. The age of stupids is upon us. Okay, the age of stupids is upon us. And I was talking about how I was like tanking the aggro for this dumb video made by a very obvious grifter by the name of Nick Shirley, who is genuinely too stupid to make a convincing case. But because of how stupid everyone has become, being stupid while you're making propaganda, slopaganda specifically, is a superpower. Okay? It has gotten to a point where it is quite literally a superpower to be dumber than a bag of rocks. Now, while when I first came out of the gate swinging with my commentary, criticizing this coverage, saying this is pretty insane, I cannot believe how much people are leaning into this shit, how much people are falling for this incredibly dumb propaganda, right? Where the fuck is the Jack Mac video? Someone send it to me, please, if you can find it. A lot of people were very upset. A lot of people were very upset and immediately said, oh my God, it's clear that you are defending Somalis doing fraud. You love when Somalis do fraud, blah, blah, blah. Okay? That wasn't the case at all. That's never something that I said. It's never something that I not something that I believe. Doesn't really matter, right? Unfortunately, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to have to be explaining that this was fake to my extended family for years. No, the worst part, the other part about it is that it's not entirely fake.
Takeaways from Nick Shirley uncovering the alleged fraud.
No, this isn't even his video. The video, I wasn't even talking about this. I was talking about the other video that he made where he was he posted a TikTok of like me and Nick Shirley going back and forth. I'm suspicious it's entirely organic, but partially because social media companies have gotten insane at manipulating their users. I think this was a testing ground. I think this was a testing ground, okay? This was a test. How fast can we whip up people into a frenzy, into a panic? How fast can we get them to pay attention to something that has elements of truth in it, right? Has elements of truth because there is real fraud that has taken place. It's just how can we extend it to an entire racialized minority, one that actually suits the purpose, like maybe geopolitical interests of a foreign country that we are in line with, in this case, Israel, with Somalia, right? With Somaliland. Israel's the first country that recognized Somaliland. Day after that comes out, all of these influencers that have gone to Israel, all of these pro-Israel, pro-MAGA influencers that were, you know, not really talking about the Epstein cover-up at all for the last week, even though it was the biggest news story of the day, turn around and start investigating the fraud that all Somalis are conducting in Minneapolis. This has been an ongoing investigation for the past, 3 years now? It's ridiculous. Where did this come from? Where did it come from? Okay. And my take on it was very cool that every pro-Israel MAGA content creator is rushing to see children at daycares around the country after a week of Trump's DOJ playing defense for Epstein's co-conspirators. Normal country. Okay. Now, obviously, the main goal here, this is a convergence of a lot of different interests. Okay. This is a convergence of a lot of different interests. Obviously, finding a new racial minority to dunk on from the perspective of like fomenting anti-immigrant sentiment is fantastic for Donald Trump. He did it during the election cycle against the Haitians when he said that, what do you call it? Haitians were eating cats and dogs, obviously, you know, so that's always going to work. Obviously, this has also been a story that the Republicans have been using pretty aggressively. Republicans have been using this pretty aggressively against. Oh, yeah, here it is. This is what I wanted to show you guys. Republicans have been using this story already against the Democrat Farmer Labor Party in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, Minnesota, for quite a while now. They are using this against Tim Walz. Obviously, they want to take out a bunch of Democrats from their positions of power in the state by tying them all to real existing fraud that took place and utilizing the investigations and the convictions and the charges that came after the real existing fraud that took place with not so real information, right? Like they're taking unsubstantiated and oftentimes racialized agitative propaganda and running with it and trying to do this to tie it back to like the Democrats. And the reality of the matter is, and I'm going to give you something, I'm going to tell you something that you might not enjoy here. There might be ties to some Democrats in the fucking state. That's the craziest part about this story. There is truth to some of these. There's truth to some of these fucking incredible, the incredibly weaponized statements. Okay, there's truth. It's just not where you think it is, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I will say this much. It's not a person that I particularly appreciate or enjoy. Former mayor, now current mayor as well, Jacob Frey, was in some ways tied back to, in some ways, ironically enough, tied back to the white lady who was responsible for the initial Feeding Our Children charity fraud. And he was protected. He was protected by Tim Walz. So even Tim Walz might have some kind of connection to it. Potentially. We don't know. In any case, although there are suspicions of this sort, none of those things are being thoroughly investigated by the likes of Nick Shirley. And now we have even more information. Okay? Now we have even more information on it. Minnesota Public Radio reports that the Republican caucus was behind steering Nick Shirley to the daycares and shaping the narrative, and local outlets had reported about more than 62 investigations of the child care centers and covered it for years. Okay? The YouTuber claims he's uncovering new fraud. There are ongoing investigations, and by the way, some of these investigations are simply licensing investigations and investigations into whether or not these daycare facilities are like up to date, up to standard. Clearly, many of them weren't, as we saw. Not because of Nick Shirley's video, of course, but because we actually looked at the Department of Human Services in the state and their actual investigations into renewing or potentially revoking the license of some of these facilities. Okay? Now, of course, the licensing thing happens every year at a random time. That's normal. So that's not really a gotcha. But in any case, the reality of the matter is the story was completely fucking, the story was completely propagandized from the start, and it featured no real information. And yet, for some reason, when I brought that up, everybody fucking yelled at me, and everybody did victory laps about it, saying, oh, Hassan is like defending Somali fraud or some shit. No, I'm defending investigative reporting. I'm not defending fraud at all. And I'm actually frustrated at the fact that sloppy hit jobs such as this one unironically interfere with good investigation, okay? With real investigations into real fraud.
Nick Shirley's reporting in Minnesota. Hassan and him have been going back and forth on Twitter. A matchup of the ages to end 2025. Hassan tweeted yesterday at 11 a.m. I don't know what kind of fraud Somalis and daycares are doing, but I think it's a separate crime to try and storm with a camera into a daycare with kids in it. Shirley responded by saying, ha ha, you would say something stupid like this. Nick won the ratio off here by almost an order of 5-1.
Oh, dude, I can't believe on the Hitler website he got way more likes. I guess that means I was wrong. Shit, dude, my bad.
Hassan then quote tweeted himself saying, bleak future of all media with this photo. I think that's from a movie. That's Jake Gyllenhaal, I believe. Vigilante content that can be weaponized for radicalized / white nativist agitprop. I don't know. I'm sorry if I said that word wrong, agitprop. Everyone's going to behave like the fake pedo hunters. On top of responding to Hassan's original tweet, Nick quote tweeted him saying, people like this commie literally shock their dogs and complain about America 24/7, and when someone actually leaves their room to do something, wait for it, they then defend the criminals. Hassan responded by saying, I traveled around the world and went to numerous protests, but since I wasn't trying to storm childcare facilities with a camera crew screaming, show me the children now, it doesn't count. There's a proper way to conduct a thorough investigation, and you botched it for clickbait. Hassan also quote tweeted a tweet involving Nick Shirley when he met with the mayor of Gaza and said he made the most Israel.
No disrespect, but this story is less exciting than watching paint dry. Day 3 of a story everyone will forget as soon as anything else happens. Yes, you're not actually brilliant or above it all when you say dumb fucking shit like this. In this media cycle, of course, things are going to be forgotten like that. The problem here is that this is a major propaganda moment. And if you are too stupid to recognize that the administration will consistently weaponize this in 2026, you need to dial it the fuck back, okay? And really reconsider why I'm trying to hammer this to the best of my ability, okay? This was a moment where there was a convergence of interest and a bunch of slopaganda right-wingers came out of the gate swinging, narratives blew the fuck up, and it led to the administration shutting off funding to all childcare facilities in the state of fucking Minnesota. Stop saying it's just an Epstein distraction, okay? It's beyond more than just an Epstein distraction. God damn it, dude. I don't want to fucking pull this card on you, but it is awfully suspicious anytime we talk about like black people being victimized en masse. Every motherfucker has different opinions on it. They're like, come on, dude. Enough. It's just a distraction, bro. Let them fucking storm daycare facilities all around the country where there are, you know, Somali people or black people running daycare centers. Come on, dude. The fuck are you talking about? I don't even like it when people complain about what I choose to cover, whether it's like phase or whatever the fuck, but this is beyond the pale. This is a huge fucking story. It is directly at the intersection of social media narratives being able to change people's real life conditions. Okay? Sean the Black Raid. Hey, Sean, thank you for the raid. Hope you had a good one. Yeah, HHS is now stopping all child care payments to all states until they prove funds are being spent legitimately. This is, once again, like I said, at the intersection of the right-wing administration that has been desperately looking for an opportunity to cut any kind of fucking social safety nets they can, using this as an opportunity to do that. Get out of your chair seems more like a criticism for Asmongold. I know. It's weird that people keep saying that to me when I literally traveled around the fucking planet this year. I know it doesn't matter because dumb fucks with no object permanence don't realize that because they're like, well, every clip I see of you, you're sitting in a chair. I know. You're stupid. It's okay.
Video demanding to see children in all these facilities, and when they wouldn't let them in, that was enough evidence of fraud. There was, of course, going to be criticism of Nick Shirley's video that he posted on Friday night. The main criticism is that he was trying to storm into a daycare, which is fine, but the video is 42 minutes long. It's not just the daycare.
Yeah, the other side, the second half of the video is even dumber. The second half of the video is even dumber than this because the second half of the video, he goes to a healthcare plaza, a medical plaza, which is a normal concept that exists in America. It's in basically every fucking town. A medical plaza is the plaza that I go to when, you know, because my dentist is in a fucking medical plaza, right? If you've ever gotten tests done, you've probably gone to a medical plaza at some point. It's not a hospital. Not every healthcare facility is literally a fucking hospital. Anyway, it is crazy though. That's the point. They manufacture stupid discourse and make you give up trying to reason and do discourse. They try to desensitize us to the issues. Part of it is just convincing the opposition, us, that the supporters of the admin are too dumb to reason with. Yes, but I am too fucking stubborn to give up on it. And I know that many of these people in my chat as well get frustrated and they go, Hassan, this is too stupid. These people cannot be reasoned with. Why the fuck are you worrying about this? Why the fuck are you trying to, consistently push back on this shit? If I don't do it, who the fuck's gonna do it? Someone has to do it. Someone has to tank the damage. Someone has to be the fucking first guy to come out and be like, nope, this is not true. Okay? If we wait for CBS News and CNN to fucking send their journalists out there, it's not gonna, you're gonna have to wait like 3-4 days. This kind of shit needs to be called out by fucking adults, okay? I'll tank it every time. I know that for years and years, I've been a thorn on the side of many people that want to do fucked up shit, whether it be, promote gambling to a young audience and get millions and millions of dollars in sponsorships to do so. And I say, oh, that sucks. And then people go, fuck you, you're a piece of shit, and you're a snake, you're a phony, you're a shark, I hate you. And then the audience carries over that resentment, even if they inevitably come to that same conclusion years down the line. It doesn't matter. I'll keep eating that shit, okay? Someone has to. Someone's got to fucking do it.
Wager that I don't think Hassan has watched it in full. Same with a lot of the people that have been criticizing it.
I did watch it, as a matter of fact.
Other criticism has been that it was filmed over Christmas break, which Somalians are typically Muslim, not...
That's not one of my criticisms at all. And it wasn't filmed over Christmas break. It was before. It was during the holidays, and it doesn't even matter. This is not a kindergarten. It's a child care facility.
Catholic or Christian, so they may not be taking Christmas break, but let's say it was a state-mandated thing. We can see in the video that Nick was there during a...
Oh, he asked one random guy. I guess that's it then. This is good. He asked a random guy on the street whether he's seen children there or not. Again, my criticism from the start, top to bottom, has been that this is not real journalism. This is not real reporting. And it's very frustrating that a lot of people looked at this and got fucking duped and thought, well, I'm convinced. We're fucked.
3rd,
Okay?
which would be 2 days before Christmas, or Tuesday, December 16th. You can look up historical weather. Tuesday, December 23rd, it did not get above 32 degrees. But on Tuesday, December 16th, you can see it got just above 40 degrees during the afternoon, around 42. So we can assume this was December 16th, 9 days before Christmas. This will continue on, I'm sure. Now, Nick should be careful, just like Hassan has to be. Not because Hassan is going to injure Nick, more so because of the fact that there's a lot of crazies out there. And
Yeah, no, I know. This is tough to fucking, say the truth. You get killed out there for that kind of thing, obviously. Absolute crushing pathos here as James O'Keefe tries to get it on with weapons grade lameness. If I'm James O'Keefe, I'm so pissed. If I am James fucking motherfucking Keefe, I'm so mad because for years and years he did this, but he actually put a lot of fucking thought and effort into making better propaganda, at least. And this guy unironically comes in and doesn't even try to find a source, get them drunk in a bar with a fucking hidden camera and ask them questions and then deceptively edit the footage. He didn't do none of that shit. No hidden cameras, no fucking op, no inside guy, nothing. James O'Keefe was doing this and had standardized the Project Veritas concept for years and years, only for a much dumber version of that to come in and totally sweep away the market. This is even worse than Tyler Oliveira's commentary on shit. That's how bad it is. Tyler Oliveira will go and he'll also work with a right-wing local dipshit, right? But even Tyler Oliveira works to make a more convincing right-wing slop. And it turns out the dumber your fucking argument is, the more people believe it. It turns out the dumber the argument is, the more effective it is. I cannot believe it. If we're ranking different versions of right-wing propaganda, okay? Here, I'll pull up Paint for this one, okay? Just, every now and then we got to use the fucking Paint application here, okay? If we're doing right-wing slopaganda, okay? You got up here, you have Fox News digital team, right? They have the most Fox News D. They have more interest in making it seem like they're a reliable news outlet, making it seem as though they have an interest in even though it is heavily biased, okay? It's biased, but it at the very least, regardless of being biased, we'll still have real evidence, okay? Bias, but real evidence. They'll omit certain things, but they'll at least have real evidence in it. Then a step below that is Project Veritas with James O'Keefe. They have done a bunch of work. You guys have seen around the Epstein stuff. Project Veritas is one step below, incredibly biased, doesn't have real evidence in it. They will obviously chop things deceptively. They'll edit things deceptively. They'll liquor up people, but at least it has sources, right? So they'll find people who they claim are sources, insiders, right? They have sources. They have people who work inside the facility that they will go and ask questions to, right? They'll greatly overextend the influence and power that a source holds. They'll go to a fucking secretary of the assistant of the assistant to the deputy of whatever the fuck, and they'll make it seem like that person is actually, the most in the know person of all time. Then they'll also get him to talk shit. Then they'll cut stuff out of context, and they'll make it seem like they're, they'll get their message across that way. Okay? Now that is obviously more popular than Fox News, right? So the more, if this is the credibility, if this is the credibility axis, okay, this is the more credible versus less credible, right? The less credible it gets, the less credible the news source gets, the more popular it gets. So we don't even need to do an XY, okay? There's no reason to do an even XY here, because the reality is the more credible something gets, the less popular it gets. The less credible something gets, the less work and effort is put into it. Okay? The less credible something gets, the less work and effort is put into it, the more popular it gets. Okay? Effort, less effort. I can't even fucking write. I don't even know why I chose to do this with paint, but whatever. It doesn't matter. Okay? Can you just make, oh, there it is. Okay. I'll use it. I'll use a bigger brush here. Okay. And then last but not least, less popular, more popular. Okay. There's a textbook option. I don't care. Shut up. Now we move down from Project Veritas to Tyler Oliveira. Okay. Now we get to a part of the internet where you can at least like seem like you're apolitical, even though you're a right-wing slop merchant, right? You're a right-wing propagandist, you're a slop merchant, but you at the very least can present yourself as apolitical. And not only can you present yourself as apolitical, but you also have less interest in getting sources. You have less interest in like cutting deceptive editing. You can do deceptive editing. Now you have also more flair and more drama. More drama, you know, getting into a fight with like a homeless person or some shit like that, and more flair. At the bottom of this barrel is Nick Shirley, okay? At the bottom of this pile is Nick Shirley. Nick Shirley literally has all of the worst elements of Tyler Oliveira. He has none of the effort that he puts in, okay? None of the effort whatsoever. Barely any fucking sources. Just running around with a camera and demanding to see children. Something that is objectively supposed to be, you know, an illegal act. Just harassing random daycare facilities, shit like that. Okay? Unfortunately, as we have seen time and time again, and specifically this year, I think this story in and of itself perfectly proves this. The less credible you are, and the less effort that you put into your right-wing slop merchantry, the more popular your video gets and the more it drives discourse. And then what people will do, and this is another dumb guy thing that I have noticed, the more popular it is, the more legitimate it is. A lot of stupid people will mistake popularity for veracity, okay? People genuinely have this attitude where I've seen it over and over again. They're like, oh, well, this video got 1 million views. This video got 100 million views. How many views have you gotten in your videos? It's like, yeah, okay. ProPublica is one of the last remaining incredible outlets for investigative reporting. Just because they don't drive clicks doesn't mean that they're not doing valid fucking work. It is ridiculous. Okay? It is fucking ridiculous. Right-wing slop merchants. The more outrage you bake in, the more fucking, the less interest you have in finding evidence, even if that evidence was supposed to help your argument, okay? And the more eyeballs you get, the more people go, well, this guy's obviously right. And the reason why we have this dynamic, unfortunately, is because we're getting dumber and dumber every single fucking day, okay? Jack Smith, full video out. What's Jack Smith? The work is only valid if you sell ads. It's not even about selling ads. It's about how many fucking eyeballs you get. And it doesn't even matter if you bought it, okay? You can bot the fuck out of your eyeballs, but for the outsider, from the outsider's perspective, the more eyeballs something has, the more real it is, the more true it is, okay? Whoever yells loudest, whoever is first to market, and whoever yells loudest is winning, is going to get the biggest amount of attention, and therefore they are going to be the most correct. This is what happens when there is no consensus reality, okay? Unfortunately, when there is no consensus reality, everything falls apart, and that's where we're at. This is the meta. This is the unfortunate reality of the media landscape that we exist in, and myself and many others, I have to, talk to a bunch of other people on the left, we have to try to figure out a new way to reach out to a broad audience, because I think trying to actively disparage whatever kind of new idiocy is coming from the right is clearly not going to work. We're fucking cooked. And this is before we even, wait, what? Special counsel full testimony for Jack Smith. Brother, I cannot begin to explain to you how little I care about this right now. Oh my God. The reason why I'm talking about this is not because of this specific instance, okay? The reason why I'm talking about this story in general is because you will see this dynamic play itself out over and over again, especially leading up to the midterms. Anytime Donald Trump is underwater on a certain issue, anytime people start going, hey, what about that affordability you were promising us that didn't fucking work? He's going to throw another grenade similar to this one. And then the right-wing slop merchants will storm whichever area of interest exists, like a bunch of fucking piranhas, and you know, the story will be whatever the fuck they want you to pay attention to. Okay, this is it. Yeah, lowest tier slopaganda gets the goods. It has the most effective results. The Trump admin cutting off all childcare funding during cost of living crisis because the January 6th insurrectionist cameraman made a completely fake, debunked YouTube video of himself going to daycares outside of their business hours. And there are still people going, when was it debunked and by whom? Got receipts? Over and over and over again. And that's what's so crazy about it, because unfortunately, this kind of dumb propaganda does work on a lot of people. Okay? That's what it is. And that's where we're at. How do you combat it? It seems practically impossible. The confirmation bias of the average American seems to be that black and brown people are evil. No, I don't even think that this is just because there's like, you know, black and brown people. That plays a role in it for sure. White supremacy plays a major role in it. Absolutely. Okay. It's much easier to craft a narrative such as this one against like a minority group for sure. It's a big factor. Because if this was a bunch of like white liberals in a blue city or something, that would still bang. Like that video would still do numbers, especially if it ties back to a real instance of fraud. Okay? This has many different factors at play. There were so many different convergence of factors here that made this story as explosive as it is. And it's not just like Elon Musk base boosting this shit on the platform Twitter and then, you know, making it virtually impossible not to discuss this and driving discourse for the last couple of days. Okay? That is one factor, however, but there are multiple reasons as to why this was so explosive. But if you think that those with genuine power in this administration are not taking notice of this, you are delusional. This is going to happen over and over again. I don't know what the next thing will be. Okay? I don't know what the next thing will be, but it's coming. Going forward, you'll see it a lot more frequently. Whenever you know there's something going on that looks bad for Donald Trump, they will foment hatred towards one group and they will storm it. Like they'll send their fucking nuisance streamers and all these other fucking freaks and losers to do bottom of the barrel slopaganda, and a lot of people are so primed to believe that shit that they will be endlessly distracted by this stuff. People who are talking about the Epstein files not only a day prior to this have now locked in and laser focused on this and are talking about how all Somalis are running fraudulent daycares all around the country. This is a mass epidemic. They all, boom, you know, inserted the new chip, you included. If you cannot comprehend the broader point that I'm making here that isn't just about this story, I don't know what to tell you. Okay? This is now media analysis over effective propaganda. Do you understand? Effective propaganda that is going to come back and be a problem over and over and over again. Things are getting dumber and dumber. Yeah, here's a flashback from the background of Nick Shirley and other nuisance streamers such as this one. Per Reuters, Nick Shirley, the guy behind the Minnesota daycare fraud video, once paid Hispanic day laborers he recruited at Home Depot $20 to hold pro-Biden signs in front of the White House to gin up fears of an invasion, right? Half a dozen Hispanic day laborers were paid $20 each to parade in front of the White House on camera holding signs with slogans like, I love Biden, I need a work permit for my family. The stunt was orchestrated by Nick Shirley, a pro-Trump online influencer who often asks migrants on camera if they support the Democratic President Joe Biden or think he made it easier for them to come to the U.S. We want to take you to the White House, Shirley told men he recruited at a Home Depot parking lot where day laborers typically wait for jobs. in a video later posted to YouTube. What Biden did for migrants is very kind, right? Letting everyone come in. So we are going to show him and say, thank you. Shirley, a 22-year-old with more than 318,000 followers on social media, is among the new class of influencers supportive of the Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump, who are helping shape the immigration debate as the U.S. election campaign heats up. This guy is a Mormon whose mom drives him around still to this fucking day. Okay, was at January 6th, and he's been at the scene of every single right-wing cultural touch point, making slopaganda like this, and now one of them hit big. Okay? It's going to happen. It's going to happen over and over again. You guys think this shit is irrelevant. It pisses you off that people are stupid. It pisses you off that someone who is genuinely mentally inept is capable of having this much reach and is capable of getting the government to basically use this dog shit reporting and manufactured hysteria to cut funds to all childcare facilities in every fucking state. Someone who is fucking illiterate is capable of doing that. Yeah, I get that it fucking offends you. It offends your sensibilities. You find yourself to be much smarter than this, but it doesn't matter. If slop is king, we have to fucking do it. We have to cover it, okay? It upset me reading comments on an IG clip. Yes. Don't ever do that, honestly. It is so much worse. It is so much worse than you think. There are people that will shock you, okay? People that you think, frat boy politics, no offense. Oh my fucking Lord. I know, you're so brilliant. You're so smart. You're such an academic. You're an intellectual. Everyone is praising you in the chat right now for how big your fucking brain is. Except it doesn't matter, okay? It doesn't matter if it's dumb politics. But dumb politics is now ruling the land because unfortunately the land is comprised of dummies. This is going to hurt MAGA folks too because they need to have their kids watch and they're poor. I know. But this is how it's always worked historically. Historically, in the United States of America, white Republicans have always gotten on board with cutting welfare initiatives and cutting social safety nets that they rely on because they think black people are stealing it. That's where the welfare queen strategy comes from. They're gutting entitlements programs. They're gutting welfare because, and you know, people who rely on this stuff, disability and the like, are championing the gutting of welfare because in their minds, they're perceiving people who are not worthy, people who are not deserving of the social safety nets, taking advantage of it, okay? Or even engaging in fraud. You cannot think you're above this. You cannot just simply say these guys are stupid and fucking move on, okay? You cannot just say, oh, I don't want to touch this. This is too dumb. You have to pull people out of this stupor, okay? You have to, or else we're fucked. It took, in this media environment where things move rapidly, things go viral instantly, mainstream reporters move far too slow, okay? And especially when there's not a lot of interest in stories like this because they're like, who gives a fuck about this shit, man? I don't understand. Why are you even covering this? If that's your attitude, you're going to lose. If that's your attitude, you're going to let the dummies dominate discourse, dominate the narrative, okay? Donald Trump is president for a reason. We have to fight back. Anyway, here is one example of the stupidity of Nick Shirley's video.
Check of your top stories this morning. We're following major developments in Minnesota's fraud crisis, specifically related to childcare. Here's the latest.
We believe the state of Minnesota has allowed scammers and fake daycares to siphon millions of taxpayer dollars over the past decade.
The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services says it's freezing.
If you want this YouTube quality, it's the second video on the playlist. Okay, sure, I'll go into it. Yeah,
Check
here.
of your top stories this morning. We're following major developments in Minnesota's fraud crisis, specifically related to childcare. Here's the latest.
We believe the state of Minnesota has allowed scammers and fake daycares to siphon millions of taxpayer dollars over the past decade.
The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services says it's freezing.
The next meta in this, for the record, is going to be finding any sort of issues with any number of different daycares as long as it's like operated by a Somali person, and then hammering that on as though that was the major point, as though that was the real argument that they were conducting. So get ready for that as well. They're too stupid to recognize that there was already one daycare facility that was operated by one of the fucking one of the defendants in the previous investigation that had taken place. They're too stupid to know that one daycare facility was actually closed. Once they figure that out, they're going to be like, well, see, there's the proof. Again, their lack of interest or their lack of knowledge, but the overarching lack of knowledge on this stuff, the overarching lack of interest and lack of knowledge on pre-existing investigations that have been conducted into it is how these guys get to make this seem like it's a totally new story and also simultaneously expand on the targets.
Childcare funds for Minnesota after a YouTuber claimed to uncover fraudulent centers in a viral video. The state gets about $185 million in federal funds each year. The HHS deputy secretary says he's demanded Minnesota Governor Tim Walz audit the centers featured in that video. The governor responded on X saying, quote, "This is Trump's long game. We've spent years cracking down on fraudsters. It's a serious issue, but this has been his plan all along. He's politicizing the issue to defund programs that help Minnesotans."
Some of the featured child care centers are now firing back. This one says footage from their security cameras proves kids were...
Why is the daycare not open on a Sunday? Streams seems strange. You don't find that suspicious? Wait, what? You're joking, right?
Present when
I know it's
YouTuber
already
stopped
happening.
by.
I saw. I have the
O'Connor
Cam
White
Higby
went there
link.
to
I
take a
know. That's
closer
another
look.
pro-Israel. That's another fucking Israel op.
Ready for kindergarten.
This is ABC Learning Center in Minneapolis.
They have to learn ABC and numbers.
Director Ahmed Hassan gave WCCO a tour after finding his daycare in the national spotlight.
All right, we've arrived to ABC Learning.
Yeah, they also show security cam footage. Hold on. Here,
This
look.
has been his plan all along.
Sorry.
Child care centers are now firing back. This one says footage from their security cameras proves kids were present when the YouTuber stopped by.
Like, can you imagine? Like, I cannot believe that this is what it's gotten down to, where they have to be like, see, there's children. The fuck are you talking about? Here's our security footage. That's insane. That is insane. Again, because they don't have fucking object permanence, because people don't have object permanence, this is not going to be enough, because they're going to be like, oh, sure, bud. Well, I didn't see the entire security footage. I need to see the faces of every child that has walked in. I need to know what kind of finger painting initiatives they engaged with. I need to know what kind of chicken nuggets they had. Was the middle of the chicken nugget cold? Was it too hot? I need to know all of it. Otherwise, I will not believe you. And it goes back to the dumbest guy you know saying, well, did you see it literally with your own two eyes? How can you believe anything if you don't personally experience it? That is where we're at. It's not even about going back to the drawing board and explaining to people like how investigations are conducted and how court proceedings take place, how people get charged with a crime, people get arrested in the process. Like, it's beyond that. You need to explain to people, like, you need to start explaining to people, unfortunately, that sometimes you can rely on information from trusted sources, right? Like a book, for example. You can read something. You don't have to like directly observe everything to believe that it actually happened, okay? That's not how information works. That's not how learning works. If we didn't do this, right? If the only stuff that we could believe was things that we observed with our own two eyes, then there would be no thousands of years of knowledge that we're relying on in order to expand on pre-existing technological improvements, for example. That's just not how this would work.
Connor White went there to take a closer look.
You want to make ready for kindergarten.
This is ABC Learning Center in Minneapolis.
They have to learn ABC and numbers.
Director Ahmed Hassan gave WCCO a tour after finding his daycare in the national spotlight.
All right, we've arrived to ABC Learning Center.
In a now viral video, right-wing YouTuber Nick Shirley claims nearly a dozen daycare centers in Minnesota are taking public funds but not providing a service. He says ABC Learning Center is one of them, knocking on the door in mid-December.
I would like to check a child in a daycare.
Hassan says his employee didn't respond because Shirley was in a group of about 8 people, and his staff were concerned about recent ICE activity.
Is this daycare committing fraud?
No, we're not committing fraud.
Hassan showed us security footage from the same day Shirley was here. According to the timestamp,
oh wow, just as I fucking called. And I'm not a particularly brilliant person, okay? I'm not. I just have common fucking sense. And unfortunately, it's not so fucking common anymore. This is what I said. Why the fuck would anybody open the door to a goddamn group of people with cameras in tow, being like, oh, I want to sign up my son Joey. He's not here right now. You don't have to be genius to figure out how stupid this narrative was.
In the videos, this woman takes a young child into the center at around 9 a.m. that day, about 3 hours before Shirley arrives at the door closer to the street. Within the hour after Shirley leaves, a woman arrives at the other door with a stroller. A larger family heads inside a few hours later. Tuesday afternoon, WCCO found at least a dozen children at ABC Learning Center, which is licensed with the state. Records show Minnesota officials last visited the daycare in November, noting some corrected and ongoing violations related.
Yeah, this is the reason why I said this is a filter, okay? This video was a fucking filter. Straight up. That dog better not move or you're going to go Ewas on her. Brother, in a situation where we're just talking about filters, you've proven once again that you are an easily tricked adult, okay? Speaking of filters, there it is.
To day-to-day operations, but no record of fraud.
What did I do? I'm just a typical human being who wants to live and do the right thing. I have kids to feed.
Umi Hassan, the daycare's current owner, believes these latest fraud accusations are political. Both she and Hassan are Somali Americans.
We pay our taxes. We do whatever we can to be a law-abiding citizen. At the same time, when one Somali does something wrong, we all get collective punishment.
With Shirley's video now...
Bro, I cannot... The other... Like, how do people not even realize that this is bad from, like, a national security perspective, for example? Like, how... Like, no one seems to care. Everyone is so proud how fucking stupid they've become. There's this, like, shared comfort with the collective knowledge that, like, the guy next to you is just as dumb as you are, so it doesn't really matter. There's no reason to apply any sort of skepticism, any sort of fucking scrutiny, you know? How the fuck are there so many people consistently up your ass over that dog shit? I see it in a completely unrelated post. Brother, it's because my haters aren't fucking normal. They lose their minds. They literally carry that over to every fucking platform. You need to understand. It's like it's unlike anything I've ever seen. It's like I personally went to their house and like fucked all their moms or something and like killed their loved ones. When someone decides they despise me, they don't just go, yeah, I don't like this guy, I don't fuck with him, and move on with their life. They literally go, anywhere I see this person, even in unrelated places, even in areas where it's not even relevant to the conversation, I will constantly carry this resentment. Some of these people have more of a derangement syndrome than even like liberals do with Donald Trump. It's one of the more intense, it's one of the more insane things I've ever encountered. It is not something I can do. We got to stay on subject. Let's just continue.
Now approaching 2.3 million views on YouTube alone, they say they are getting nonstop phone calls harassing them.
I was looking for a place for my granddaughter.
With many of those calls attached to out-of-state phone numbers.
They normally say, knock, knock, we're going to come. You're going to arrest, something like that.
Connor White, WCCO News.
Hassan there says they turned over attendance records to comply with the Department of Homeland Security request, and they're now waiting to hear back. CBS News is reviewing records related to the same daycares. All but 2 have active licenses.
And while the active places have violations related to safety or staff training, there is no recorded evidence of fraud. Another facility highlighted in the YouTube video was Quality Learning Center. The people operating it would not speak with us, but we did talk to a mother dropping off her kids.
I take my kids here, 2 o'clock.
I'll say it like this. Out of all the facilities they went to, the only one that I'm a little bit sus on is this one, the Quality Learning Center. People say staged. I don't think it is, but there are inconsistencies with the Quality Learning Center. No disrespect if they're running a clean operation. I apologize, and it's not because of the name of the fucking signage. I don't care about that. But there is something that doesn't add up with that because of the inconsistencies with what the state has said about that place being not an operation. It's about the place not being in operation, but the place is, as a matter of fact, very clearly in operation. So that was the one. That was the thing that I didn't understand, especially because like it received the most citations as well. It received the most citations out of all of the other daycare facilities. I'm not validating the conspiracy theories. I'm just exercising healthy skepticism. Okay. Exercising healthy skepticism and healthy scrutiny. Okay, that's it. I don't have any evidence that this place is actually fraudulent, and it's certainly not fraudulent in the way that Nick Shitley was claiming it was.
To 10. Yeah, there's a lot of kids inside.
We spoke with another woman who says she owns the building that houses the daycare. She says they've been operating there since 2017.
And these allegations of fraud are having real-life consequences. Take a look. This child care facility says it's dealing with the fallout of fraud allegations. The Nokomis Daycare Center in Minneapolis says vandals did extensive damage there overnight yesterday. They believe divisive and hateful rhetoric toward the Somali community is to blame. We're expecting to learn more details later today.
Federal agents are conducting a, quote, massive operation in Minneapolis right now. The Department of Homeland Security has posted these videos of agents going door to door at suspected fraud sites. The daycare investigation represents a new front in Minnesota's fraud fight. More than 50 people have been convicted so far in the $250 million COVID-era scheme involving Feeding Our Future. Prosecutors believe fraud in 14 state Medicaid service programs.
I think the other side of the story, once again, that is perfectly valid to address is that this is not a Somali-only issue, obviously. Even this, the initial fraud investigation that was conducted was run by a white woman. Nobody ever talks about her, ironically enough. Like, the person who cooked up the scheme is literally a white lady, okay? The one who's going to prison, like the top dog, is a white lady. Odd that rarely ever gets mentioned in the coverage, okay? Her name is Amy Bach, and not only is she the white lady who cooked up the scheme, she's also connected to the current mayor, Jacob Fry. So there is actually a connection. There is actually a connection with the existing Democrats in charge, but a lot of people are too fucking racist and too predisposed with talking about how this is a Somali scheme that they haven't even done the proper research connecting people to one another. Also, none of it is recent. Barry CBS 2, Amy Bach, founder and executive director of the Minnesota nonprofit Feeding Our Future, was identified by federal prosecutors as a central organizer of a massive COVID-era fraud involving approximately $250 million in federal child nutrition fund. No mention of the ringleader in this article. I wonder why, Barry Weiss. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, Amy Bach and Salim Saeed took advantage of the COVID-19 pandemic to carry out a massive fraud scheme that stole money meant to feed children. This is disgusting, and I'm glad that these people got their day in court, and I'm glad that they're going to prison, okay? Make no fucking mistake. It don't matter to me whether they're Somali or white. Fraud is fucking fraud. You understand? Especially when it comes to welfare fraud such as this one, which is the most disgusting because these are funds that are supposed to feed children. You're using money that is allocated to feed children to buy yourself nice cars. You're a fucking asshole. It's one of the reasons why I, say we got to become more Chinese right now, because I think we all know how this would have been conducted and concluded in China, okay? And yes, it would have extended to members of the party if there was enough evidence of their involvement as well. Do you understand? The defendants falsely claim that they have served 91 million meals, for which they fraudulently received nearly $250 million in federal funds. That money did not go to feed the kids. Instead, it was used to fund their lavish lifestyle. Today's verdict sends a message to the community that fraud against the government will not be tolerated. That's the lady. Isn't that fucking nuts? There is a bigger story here. Okay? So the right-wing hysteria that is hyper-focused on shifting the blame over to like random Somali people living in fucking Minneapolis is actually dropping the ball on investigating this shit properly. How did this fraud go on for so long? Is there involvement from people in the government? Okay? They're so focused on the defendants countering the initial investigation by claiming racism, because that also suits a narrative purpose for Republicans. Oh, they were able to use the I'm black card. You know, they were able to use the wokes to actively thwart investigations. I think that is bullshit. I suspect that there's more to this story than we see and we know. And it's ironic that Republicans that could probably do a better job of really tunneling in on even Democratic Party politicians here are so fucking predisposed and so laser focused on making this a Somali issue that they don't even it's clear that they don't even give a fuck about conducting a proper fraud case here, a proper fraud investigation, and maybe even tying it back to Democrats. It's crazy. Whose mouths were supposed to be fed with the $250 million? There were Somali mouths that were supposed to be fed with that as well. Not a couple, not just a couple Somalis that were able to pocket the funds with kickbacks, okay? They were victimized in this situation as well, and now they're getting victimized again with a unfair share, an unfair burden of the responsibility in a scheme that actually hurt them, as the entire American right-wing slopaganda community is storming, trying to fucking break down the walls of every fucking childcare facility that they suspect of having some connection to Somali people. What is this? I generally like Hassan specifically for his criticism of the genocide in Gaza and American support for it. I'm always a little astonished that he says things like, we need to be more like China when they have literal concentration camps for Uyghurs. Brother, I said we need to be more like China in terms of combating fraud, okay? You can comprehend that, right? Like, you can understand that, right? Like, in terms of fucking punishing people who are engaging in fraud. Contextualize, please. Anyway, Jacqueline Sweet, who's an investigative reporter with work all over Rolling Stone, The Nation, Intercept, Guardian, Politico, Dropsite News, says it's reasonable the daycare owners thought Nick Shirley was with ICE and not a very young parent or a child named Joey because he showed up with several vehicles, a van, multiple masked men while holding a camera. Here are stills from a video taken by a local woman who filmed them thinking they were doing ICE raids. He doesn't show this entourage and the masked security guys and multiple vehicles he arrives in his viral YouTube video. Why the fuck would anybody think that these guys are sincerely trying to sign up their fucking children? Of course. This video also shows how Nick and his entourage of masked men appeared as they showed up around the city. I called this out in the video. You kind of see it in the background in a couple stills. Why would anybody think this is a legitimate, why would anyone who is operating a fucking daycare center think this is anything but a bunch of random thugs?
You cannot come in here. We don't care. We don't know where it is. Get out.
Would anybody think that these guys are sincerely trying to sign up their fucking children? Of course. This video also shows how Nick and his entourage of Max.
The Trump administration says it is now withholding all federal child care funding to the entire state. The agency says the state receives $185 million for 19,000 children And now that money will be gone, and the agency did not specify any alternate plans for families who will be affected. DHS and the FBI said they were surging resources to Minnesota to investigate what they called suspected fraud sites. This all comes in response to a viral video posted by a MAGA content creator. He claims that he uncovered widespread fraud by Somali-run child care centers in the state. CNN is looking into those claims and has not independently verified the accusations, but the Deputy Secretary of Health and Human Services is taking the allegations at face value. Take a listen.
Intrepid journalists have made shocking and credible allegations of extensive fraud in Minnesota's child care programs. We believe the state of Minnesota has allowed scammers and fake daycares to siphon millions of taxpayer dollars over the past decade. Starting today, we require a justification, receipt, or photo evidence before we make a payment.
However, the so-called evidence comes from a man who has posted anti-Muslim and anti-immigrant content in the past. CNN's Whitney Wild speaks to the man behind that video and takes a look at his claims.
We're from CNN. Can we talk to you? This is MAGA YouTuber Nick Shirley. Back at a daycare in Minnesota, he alleged was a fraudulent facility in a now viral video.
People are going to say this is a left or right issue, but no, fraud is fraud. And so I'm not out here trying to put a twist on things.
Shirley's viral video, released over the weekend, in which he says he's uncovering tens of millions of dollars in fraud at Minneapolis daycares run by the Somali community, was retweeted by Elon Musk and Vice President J.D. Vance. In the video, Shirley tries to open locked doors and talk to people at various daycares he claims are frauds. Did you come during their normal operating hours when you came to visit?
I came at 11 a.m., I believe, and I also came the following day, later in the day. The point of it is not whether or not I came at the right time of their operation hours. The point is that blacked out doors, they can't give you any information. You call that number, no one answers. I wasn't trying to go inside. And there should be a way for somebody to actually be able to call that number and somebody to be able to answer. These aren't real businesses.
But surely you don't think a daycare should just be unlocked. You shouldn't be able to just walk into a daycare.
There should be a reception.
No, every daycare is locked.
Their doors are locked.
And so, okay, you bring up a fair point. Then why can't they actually give me information how to enroll a child?
Federal law enforcement has been investigating fraud in Minnesota for several years. Both Attorney General Pam Bondi and FBI Director Kash Patel said on social media they've indicted dozens of defendants. DHS has posted multiple videos of agents they say are conducting a massive fraud investigation. Do you think that federal law enforcement hasn't done enough? I mean, they would say, look, these fraud cases have been going on, but they've already done like 80 indictments. The cases have been going on, for years.
And why did I show up one day in Minnesota and go to all these daycares, no children? They're receiving millions of dollars. We uncovered nearly $110 million in fraud in one day.
How do you know that all the allegations that you're making are true?
How do I know that they're true? Well, we showed you guys what was happening, and then you guys can go ahead and make your own analysis.
We're coming so we can make our own analysis. Are you 100% sure you're true?
Yeah, I am 100% sure I'm true.
CNN is looking into Shirley's claims. Hi, my name's Whitney Wild. I'm a correspondent for CNN. We reached out to several of the daycares featured in the now viral video. Only one daycare facility answered and said they are a legitimate business. Have you seen the videos, purporting that some of these daycares don't have kids inside? Minnesota Republicans say despite the new focus from the Trump administration, they have been sounding the alarm on fraud for years.
We have talked about fraud. We have gotten stories. We've tried to push this forward every way that we can.
At the daycare where Shirley showed back up, a stream of children walk inside. You're saying that this is a fraudulent daycare. There's kids being dropped off right now.
Yes, the Commissioner of Children literally said a week ago this place was closed. Did you know They're showing face right now.
A viral video, disputed claims, and their full fallout remains to be seen. Dozens of fraud cases that DOJ is touting began during the Biden administration. Back in 2022, the U.S. Attorney's Office for Minnesota announced 47 indictments for this massive fraud scheme. Since then, they've indicted more than 30 more people, and in total, they have secured at least 56 convictions. Whitney Wild, CNN, Minneapolis.
The group chat is back to talk about all of this right now. And Sarah, I want to go to you first. What do we know based on evidence about the alleged fraud in Minnesota and how legitimate and widespread it may be?
Well, I think a lot of people were very apt to believe Shirley's videos because we had indictments in 2022 when reporting first came out about this issue. It was David Fahrenthold, then at the Washington Post, who started to unravel all of these claims. The reason why I think Shirley's post has gone viral amongst some of the conservative community is because Minnesota is a politically convenient target, not just for the president, but for the party. Obviously, the governor there, Tim Walz, was the running mate to Kamala Harris in the 2024 election. Ilhan Omar has long been a foe of the president's. And you noted up top that the ICE immigration raids on Somalis has been a priority for the president. So all of this collectively has made this story something that people want to gravitate to. And in addition to that, previous reporting that uncovered widespread fraud in Minnesota from years ago also makes people more apt to believe this, where I think a lot of folks in the media, including you mentioned CNN, which is looking to verify this video, are showing pause and trepidation around Shirley's reporting is just that making sure that it's actually verified, that it's showing fraud in a similar way that we all evaluated the initial reporting that came out in 2022.
And Antoine, what does it say about the media landscape at this point when a YouTuber with an anti-immigrant past can post a video with scant evidence, we can say, that launches a federal surge into a state?
I think there are different types of media, and I think Sarah's right. Truth be told, there's been local reporting on this matter for years. In fact, there were 59 convictions under the Biden-Harris administration, as I understand it. And quite frankly, while there's a lot of attention on the Somalian community, there's a white woman by the name of Amy Locke who was convicted, I think, on several different charges, who was considered the ringleader of this. And many of these daycares have been shut down for other reasons, like their ability not to be able to operate properly in the state. I think the YouTuber video points to one of those who had already been shut down in the past. And quite frankly, I think that the governor has been hamstringed by the legislature for political reasons in order to do more. He was able to shut down the Housing Stabilization Fund, another accusation. So this has become politically convenient, and there's currency in this by this administration to make this a right-wing, red meat, racial talking point about the Somalians, and of course picking on Tim Walz. At the end of the day, I don't think anyone wants to run away from accountability, particularly Tim Walz, who's up for re-election in the state next year.
And also, we know, as we mentioned earlier, VP Vance, he retweeted Nick Shirley's video, and President Trump has also been stoking anti-Somali sentiment for a while. Let's listen to some of that.
Look at Minnesota, where Somalians have taken over the economics of the state and have stolen billions and billions of dollars.
And what's happening in Minnesota with Somalia, where billions of dollars is being stolen, right, like candy from a baby.
So, Terry, I'll ask you, where is all this headed, do you think, now that we have this kind of like resurgence in reporting of the situation, and as well as the attention from the highest office in the land?
Well, I think it's a refreshing change from the Biden administration that was infiltrating Catholic organizations like the Knights of Columbus and classifying parents who spoke up at school board meetings as potential domestic terrorists. Look, this is old. This is, I think I saw news stories and videos as far back as 2014, definitely 2018. These claims of fraud are verified. They are credible. They've been trying to do things here. And listen, I think that our justice system needs to be colorblind because we know that fraud is not, or I'm sorry, that fraud is colorblind. This is not about the Somalians. I think the reason that it's being focused on the Somalians is because they're the ones committing it. We took these people in as refugees, and it looks like there's billions and billions of dollars of scams. So hopefully we can get some convictions here and get some justice, because people need this money. People need help with daycare, and no one should be scammed of it, especially taxpayers.
Well, if I can just quickly add, keep in mind Trump University was convicted for fraud, and I would also add that this president has pardoned those close to him who's had their own allegations of fraud. So we should keep that in mind. If we're going to be fraud, let's deal with fraud.
And we don't want to go tit for tat, but I do appreciate all of your guys' insight. Thank you to our group chat.
Special Counsel Jack Smith's full under oath video deposition with Congress was made public today. We've published the full video deposition on our YouTube page. I recommend you watch the full video deposition, but I want to give you some of the explosive highlights right here.
Veteran homicide detective, Detective Fife, who has now racked up 24 consecutive solves, 24 consecutive homicides. That's extremely rare. Breaking news tonight, a New Orleans homicide detective, the modern day Hercule Poirot, sleuths the worst of the worst. Now hold on right there. Number one, very high crime city, New Orleans, the Big Easy. So, are some murders worse than other murders? How bad can it be? This guy has the answer to that. Good evening. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. I want to thank you for being with us.
Detective James Fife began his career with the New Orleans Police Department as a patrol officer before advancing to detective in the fall of 2021. Since his promotion, he has successfully solved over 24 consecutive cases, showcasing his dedication and skill.
It's not just dedication. It's not just hard hours to close 24 consecutive homicides in a row. That takes serious sleuthing. Who is this guy? Listen.
James Fife leaves his Massachusetts security screening job to follow his dreams of becoming a cop. New Orleans catches Fife's eye, actually circulating help wanted posters amid a hiring slump. Fife begins as a patrol officer in Algiers and works his way up the 4th District Task Force into property crimes. After time on the Violent Crime Abatement Investigation Team, Fife finally gets a shot in the Homicide Division, just as NOLA sees a huge spike in violent crime.
And joining us now, Homicide Detective James Fife. Detective Fife, thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me. It's an honor.
Detective Fife, 24 consecutive homicides. That's extremely rare. Do you recall the first homicide you investigated with New Orleans?
Oh, of course. Yeah, a case like that stays with you. I mean, each of them really, but your first case, you know, you're analyzing every little step, and for sure, that's not something you forget. It was in September of 2021. My first case was a shooting of 3 individuals on Tulane Avenue outside of a bar at the location, which was successfully cleared.
Detective Fife, what do you recall of that first homicide investigation?
Basically, every little detail. You know, it's micro-analyzing everything. reinforcing everything I was doing under management of more veteran officers, making sure you don't take any missteps because the stakes are high, and on your first case, that pressure really sinks in.
So that was a triple shooting outside of a bar, I assume at night. I have found in my own investigations it's really hard to pin down bar goers to get a statement out of them. How did you do it?
Yeah, well, and in this case, the witness testimony, provided some sequencing of events, but it was mostly video footage, and it's sort of one thing led to another, and it was one of those cases that unraveled really well, got some momentum. But our shooter was masked at the time, so it wasn't even as though we needed a witness to point to an individual and say, that's the guy.
It was a masked shooter?
Yes, sort of a hit, you could call it, but it seemed pretty planned and partially organized on the part of the perpetrator.
Now, when you say it seemed planned, how do you know the difference between your routine bar shooting and a planned hit? See, that's just like you, Fife. You toss it off as your first homicide. When I find out now, it was a planned execution. What happened?
Yeah, and I don't mean to ever sound flippant about any of the cases I talk about. I think one of the side effects of
you're modest. I mean it in that way. You never take credit for all of your work. You make it sound like, I didn't have that much to do with it, it solved itself, but no, you solved it. I didn't know the first case was a planned assassination and execution. What happened?
Yeah, and not to digress, but real quick, sometimes it can feel a little like insensitive to sort of celebrate any success in this field, because even when you've done your job well, the worst has already happened and somebody has died. So to take like a victory lap sometimes feels a little tone deaf, but you do have to allow yourself to appreciate the wins when you get them. But getting to this incident, when you watch the video footage, and again, it's still in phases of trial, so I can't really speak into too much detail, but the method and approach of the incident itself shows that this is not a spontaneous thing. This is definitely, just the donning of a mask and the use of like a Draco firearm, sort of implies that this is something with some level of organization beforehand.
To those that are not familiar with a Draco firearm, could you explain?
Oh yeah, it looks like an assault rifle, but technically it's an automatic pistol. But it's very much in favor, or it's a chic weapon, I guess. At least it was a few years ago among some of the youth. But it has like a wood grip. It's a very distinctive looking weapon.
To me, it looks like a Draco looks like a sawed-off shotgun with a fancy handle, because the butt's not that long, is it?
Yeah, I think it could be argued that it's favored because it's concealable. For a big weapon, it's still something you can kind of stuff into a jacket or down your pants if need be. But yeah, it could easily be mistaken for something else like a sawed-off shotgun or what have you.
I understand that you left Massachusetts security screening to follow your dream of becoming a homicide detective. When in life did you decide, I want to solve murders?
Oh, that's a tough one. Not exactly sure like when that switch flipped, but for sure, my parents were teachers and social workers. So I've always had like a public service drive. But I think maybe I needed a little bit more excitement to what I chose to do. So wanted policing since high school, much to my parents' dismay at the time, but chased that down. Those jobs back in the early 2000s were a little harder to come by, especially in New England. But if you do believe in that mission-driven work, I think you need to be willing to move where you're needed.
At that time, did you have a family?
No, not. I was not married, no children at that time. Yeah, so it was a bit easier to pick up and move across the country to chase something like this.
What were you doing in your security screening job?
I worked for a federal contract company that was doing background checks for people that needed security clearances, like top secret security clearance or what have you.
Guys, listen to this.
While many detectives only handle about 5 homicide cases a year, Fife is assigned to nearly 40 cases over 3 years because he keeps clearing them. Since 2022, Fife closes 24 consecutive cases he is assigned to, his coworkers keeping track on a whiteboard they've dubbed the Fifeometer. Fife's work helps the Homicide Division bring its clearance rate from 40% in 2022 to above 76% today.
I know you're probably too humble to comment on the Fife-o-meter, a tally that people keep within your office at homicide. I never, while I was prosecuting, counted wins, if you can call them that. And I think it's hard to get, but you were alluding to it earlier, Detective Fife. When you solve a homicide, or when I would prosecute a homicide and the jury would return a guilty verdict, I didn't really feel any joy or celebration. I didn't go out and have a night on the town. I'd turn around, feeling half dead myself after, weeks of trial, and there would be the victim's family just completely wrung out, just having endured so much. And it's not like solving the homicide or getting the guilty verdict fixes things. I think victims' families think that's going to fix everything. And it doesn't. And I didn't feel like doing it, but in retrospect, I don't think it's appropriate to go out and celebrate a win when the victim's family just moves on to their next step of grieving. I agree with you.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Sometimes at its worst, this job just feels like we're kind of mitigating the damage that's already been done, trying to provide some sort of relief to the family. But you're right, when it's all said and done, the dust settles, that loved one's still gone, and there's nothing we can do to undo that. I guess it's just about general public safety, making sure somebody who's able and willing to do that can't do it again, among other things.
I think not you and I, but I think the world has seen too many crime shows on TV, because it's not like that at all. You go to a murder scene. I've seen a rookie cop start vomiting from the smell of a dead body. Hadn't even gone into the scene yet, because it really is enough to make you throw up. But when you get in there, it's a lot grimier and dirtier and stickier than any TV show that I know of has ever portrayed what it's really like. And, on the movies, that's all fake blood. It's all fake. And anybody that's been in the homicide business knows what it's really like. And the celebrations they have in movies and TV when a case is solved, I don't get it. Could you explain what a homicide scene is really like? I try, but I don't think I convey it very well.
Yeah, of course. Just getting back to what you said earlier, I should say there are moments of excitement and adrenaline rush in this job that are truly fun, like cracking mysteries, right? But at its core, homicide detective, the work we do is kind of profoundly grim and sad at times, and it takes a good deal of emotional intelligence and endurance to sort of balance, handling these cases with the sensitivity and the gravity that they deserve, but also not letting it haunt your dreams every night, because you do this job long enough, there are a lot of unsolved cases that continue to follow you. But that said, these cases, the crime scenes themselves are hugely varying in what they look like and the issues that are posed by each one. But in addition to the actual active homicide scenes, we respond to any unclassified death. So just a deceased person and we don't really know what happened to them. We go out and provide support to the district units on that. And some of those, as well as some of our homicides, can be pretty grisly, especially when it's something that hasn't been addressed for several days. Someone's been sitting in a spot, and you get pretty used to I guess encountering and stomaching that.
Detective Fife, you mentioned these cases, your cases, creeping into your dreams, and I remember that very well. You eat, drink, breathe, live a case. And I don't know how other trial lawyers do it. I couldn't go out to dinner. I couldn't do anything during a trial or preparation for a trial, because you have one shot, you have one swing. That trial And if you don't do it all, try it all, give it 200%, you'll never get to do it again. There's no do-over for the state. And yeah, I would dream about my cases a lot. And even now, still, all these years later, still dream about some of them, Fife.
Yeah, I can relate to that for sure. And again, I think it's a balance. If you're going to do like what we do or have done for a long enough period of time, you need to strike that balance between compartmentalizing work and your home life, but not getting so checked out or cynical to the point where people can tell and they're like, oh, this detective doesn't care, and you're not as invested as you ought to be. But yeah, especially early on, I'm up at night thinking about what I could have missed or just that case that I haven't solved for sure.
When you say you're up at night thinking about what you could have missed, like a lot of people, they leave the house and go, oh, did I turn off the coffee pot? Or did I close the garage door? What are the kind of things that go through your mind at night? Like, oh, my stars. Did I fill in the blank?
Yeah, for sure. Did I handle that interview the right way? Could it have been this other thing? And when you find the time, a lot of it's sort of a juggling act, but you do circle back to, your 2021, 2022 cases in my case, and, give them another look, see if there's anything else I could do. But when you do have a city with, sort of ongoing caseload, it can be hard to sort of jump back and find time to do that. We also have a very effective cold case unit here in NOPD, which provides some support for that. But there's nothing like the initial detective that handled the case to know the ins and outs and what might have slipped through the cracks.
I think anybody who's been a homicide detective knows that there is a degree of luck, right? But followed up by hard work to be opportunistic about the lucky breaks you are given.
Detective Fife has cleared 24 cases in a row, stretching back to December 2022.
That's a lot in a row that have some kind of, at least short-term resolution. They'll have to proceed through court. A clearance is, at the detective level, what we're always trying to shoot for.
Hi guys, Nancy Grace here.
Don't let this R&B shit fool you niggas, get ripped to shreds. Quavo talking like he a thug, nigga, you a bitch with dread. Can't wait to see the day that you back up all of that shit you said. What's all that ball shit you talking? You ain't no huncho, nigga. You the weakest link out of your clique, let's keep it a hundo, nigga. You fuck my ex-hoe, that's cool, I don't give no fuck, little nigga. Cause I fucked your ex when you was still with a bitch, I'm up, little nigga. They say revenge is sweet. Now think about that shit, don't let that line go over your...
How much longer I can hold it? What's taking so long? Patience, Wolverine. I have to check my the virus or the database and make sure that everything's where it needs to be. It looks for the... Whoa! Oh hell no, Beast! You ain't using my computer. Last time I let you use my shit, I had all kinds. Okay. What?
Okay, so let's go over this again. You came here looking for man's butt. You heard me? I'm here looking for man's butt. Yeah, no, this is a tournament, alright? What you're gonna find here are the planet's strongest competitors, who will face me one-on-one in a contest of strength to determine the fate for the entire planet. Oh, I know who you are, Mr. Perfect Sale. I seen your little announcement on TV. You're that perfect being with the perfect ass. No. Let's not get my catchphrase wrong. I'm the perfect being who kicks perfect ass. Oh, I know what I said. Now let me tell you something about me, Mr. Perfect Cell. Boo there is more important than food. Boo there is more important than water. Whether or not this is a tournament, to me, it don't make no difference. Now, I'm gonna tell you this. I likes you, and I wants you. Now, we can do this the easy way, or we can do this the hard way. Okay, so let's go over this again. You came here looking for man's butt. You heard me? I'm here looking for man's butt. Yeah, no, this is a tournament, alright? What you're gonna find here are the planet's strongest competitors, who will face me one-on-one in a contest of strength to determine the fate for the entire planet. Oh, I know who you are, Mr. Perfect Sale. I seen your little announcement on TV. You're that perfect being with the perfect ass. No. Let's not get my catchphrase wrong. I'm the perfect being who kicks perfect ass. Oh, I know what I said. Now let me tell you something about me, Mr. Perfect Cell. Boudin is more important than food. Boudin is more important than water. Whether or not this is a tournament, to me, it don't make no difference. Now, I'm gonna tell you this. I likes you, and I wants you. Now, we can do this the easy way, or we can do this the hard way. The choice is yours. You know what? That's enough. Okay, so let's go over this again. You came here looking for man's butt. You heard me? I'm here looking for man's butt. Yeah, I know, this is a tournament, alright? What you're gonna find here are the planet's strongest competitors, who will face me one-on-one in a contest of strength to determine the fate for the entire planet. Oh, I know who you are, Mr. Perfect Cell. I seen your little announcement on TV. You're that perfect being with the perfect ass. No. Let's not get my catchphrase wrong. I'm the perfect being who kicks perfect ass. Oh, I know what I said. Now let me tell you something about me, Mr. Perfect Cell. Boudin is more important than food. Boudin is more important than water. Whether or not this is a tournament, to me, it don't make no difference. Now, I'm gonna tell you this. I likes you, and I wants you. Now,
Mom, where's my Saiyan suit?
Woman, where is my Saiyan suit?
It's under your bed. Thank you. It's in the wash.
You bitch!
Mom, where's my Saiyan suit?
Woman, where is my Saiyan suit?
It's under your bed. Thank you. It's in the wash.
You bitch!
Know why I pulled you over? Because I'm black? Yeah. No.
Can I get extra schmear cream cheese before your ninja training? Can I get...
Peach, you're so cool. And with my star, we're gonna rule. Peach.
Who is Michael Jordan? How'd he get that big ass head?
My taxes keep going up because of this fucking cocksucker.
Y'all, everybody sitting here watching this. Literally.
Hit the stone for William, trip the kid. I get the tree for free.
My taxes keep going up because of this fucking cocksucker.
Y'all, everybody sitting here watching this. Literally.
Hit the stone for William, trip the kid. I get the tree for free.
My taxes keep going up because of this fucking cocksucker.
Y'all, everybody sitting here watching this. Literally.
Hit the stone for William, trip the kid. I get the tree for free.
My taxes keep going up because of this fucking cocksucker.
Y'all, everybody sitting here watching this. Literally.
Hit the stone for William, trip the kid. I get the tree for free.
My taxes keep
Living in a strange world that don't faze us.
Who's the watch guy here? I need some help. Yeah, looks original. Who's the watch guy here? I need some help. Yeah, looks original to me.
Here's another one. I think the first one was actually real gold. I don't know about this one. This one looks kind of worn. Alright, did a little digging, I guess. I got bored. Okay, the first watch was a Lee Coulter Automatic Power Reserve 14K. Here's one on eBay that looks a little cleaner, I guess. I don't know. It's going for $1,700. That's pretty nice. That's not bad for a starter. Luckily, the one Grandma found had the original band on it. I like that. That makes me feel a lot better. Okay, this is number 2 of Grandma's finds. I finally found this one. This one's only going for less than $100. I mean, look at the condition of this one compared to the one Grandma found. I mean, it's a couple $100. It's a wearer. Who's the watch? Cleaning up the house.
Come on. Oh, come on.
And he's gonna fake you out. Are you kidding me?
Did you get that?
No. No. No.
Oh, come on. Oh, come on.
It looks like Marjorie Taylor Greene is not the only former MAGA faithful to learn the lesson that everybody in Trump's orbit eventually learns, that loyalty to Trump is a one-way street. So here's what just happened. Trump used his very first veto of his second term, but it was on a bill called the Finish the Arkansas Valley Conduit Act, which passed unanimously in both the House and the Senate, and importantly, was introduced by Lauren Boebert. It would fund a pipeline project bringing clean drinking water to 39 communities on Colorado's eastern plains. So again, introduced by Lauren Boebert, passed unanimously in the House and the Senate. So why would Trump veto legislation introduced by his political ally and passed by Congress by unanimous consent? The answer might be in Lauren Boebert's response. She wrote, quote, President Trump decided to veto a completely non-controversial bipartisan bill that passed both the House and the Senate unanimously. Why? Because nothing says America first like denying clean drinking water to 50,000 people in Southeast Colorado, many of whom enthusiastically voted for him in all 3 elections.
Hello?
I must have missed the rally where he stood in Colorado and promised to personally derail critical water infrastructure projects. My bad, I thought the campaign was about lowering costs and cutting red tape. But hey, if this administration wants to make its legacy blocking projects that deliver water to rural Americans, that's on them. I'm going to continue fighting for Colorado and standing up for our rural communities, our farmers, and every family that deserves safe, reliable drinking water without decades more delay. And I sincerely hope this veto has nothing to do with political retaliation for calling out corruption and demanding accountability. Americans deserve leadership that puts people over politics. This is not the
How are you not dead? Get back here! Oh. Got him! Hurry! Gotcha!
Oh shit, the bird beer? No way.
Listen to me, sir, listen to me. Listen to me very carefully. Listen to me very carefully. I would look for a quick syringe. I need your help on a very important mission. There's another man and he's crazy and he's dives down that hallway.
Okay, revive me.
No, I'm looking for a syringe. I'm looking for a syringe. Oh, there we go. All right. You must pledge your allegiance to my cause and fuck that guy down the corridor.
Yes, sir.
Let's ride. Let me get a little bit more goop. Let me get a little bit more goop and then we'll run. I want you. What was that?
Sorry.
That's pop. Totally understand. Could have happened to anybody. Keep your eyes peeled on this guy, boys. He's acting suspicious. Let's ride. I'm 99% certain this guy's gonna betray us. Oh my God! He was down here somewhere. I heard him talk. Oh my God! You bastard! Ooh, that's a shame. That's a shame. Wait, hold up, sir. Don't kill me yet. Let me kill this guy first. Wait, hold up. Wait, I gotta verbally abuse him a little bit more.
I won't kill him.
Wait, can you help me spit on this guy?
Yeah, can we disrespect him?
Yeah, disrespect him. Ooh, you suck. Hurry! Good work, sir. Hell yeah. Back to Spain. Excellent raid, gentlemen. Excellent raid. I would like to take a quick moment of silence for that absolute fuck-ass in the beginning that tried to betray us twice, and failed. 2 times. 2-time betrayal attempt, and then he died. Moment of silence, quick moment of silence. Here we go. Get back on Minecraft, pussy. That's where you belong. Open up a Minecraft Realm server, maybe add some mods, grab a modern texture pack and build yourself a dirt house, bitch. You don't belong here. You gonna learn today, boy. You gonna learn today. Shh. Oh, how are you not dead? Get back here. Got him! Hurry! Gotcha!
Oh shit, the bird beer? No way.
Listen to me, sir, listen to me. Listen to me very carefully. I would look for a quick syringe.
Shut up, Happy. Don't feel bad about me.
Anybody?
If you get caught cheating in a game where it's multiplayer and competitive, you should get 1 chance, but full ban on the account. And then the second chance They should. Every company in the world should share your information. You should be banned for gaming forever. Because
These.
I said, ooh. Big God, big God, big God, big God, SpongeBob, big God, big God, big God, big God, SpongeBob, big.
Looks like all this AI nonsense is going to end up hurting the PlayStation 6 and your wallets, especially if you want an Xbox. The PC gaming market is essentially in shreds, with the price of RAM and storage costing the most out of nearly any other part of the build. But console players aren't getting away. Looks like all this AI nonsense.
ASUS isn't saving us from Ramageddon by making their own.
Dude, I swear to God, I just thought I saw a silhouette of a person crouching.
You really are, like, paranoid.
Hey, you're the one earlier jumping at everything. That was so funny.
Well, I haven't played this game in a while, and you keep exploding shit. Oh! I'm gonna freak out a little.
Oh, that was so funny. I shot a tick and I heard you go, dude, you need to take some fucking fentanyl or something and relax.
Well, I didn't hear the tick. The explosion was loud.
Assault class carnage.
What is that? Colin's got his legs behind his head right now, bro.
Oh, I bet he does.
Stay away from people who hate you, but still.
Oh my God, Spacey's answer! Run!
Peanut?
Jesus Christ. The natives are getting restless.
I pulled him over here, Malloy.
Oh, good thinking, Cloaksy. Good thinking.
Thank
You should try fucking yourself. It's quite efficient. Maybe you get some processors.
Why would I do that when I have your dad?
I'm gonna take processors out of this thing and throw it out the window.
I haven't gotten a single processor.
I get what he did. I get what he did.
What the fuck?
Ooh, got one.
Dude, there's no processors here. You don't dare throw that out the fucking window. If you throw that out the window, I am going to fuck you.
Get rich or die trying.
There is a rare group of people out there.
Well, hello! How are ya? I'm Isabel Rosales. Behind the camera, we got Jay, a.k.a. Cowboy. My friend Stephanie right here. Super producer.
Happy New Year.
We got Sabrina over here, news associate. This is the CNN Star crew. We're missing one other person. His name is Carlos, and he'll be manning the drone. Very important. But you know what? The show must go on. Carlos will come back at some point. Let me show. Carlos, hello. You're live right now on CNN. How are you?
I'm good.
Carlos is another photojournalist extraordinaire, but he's manning the drone. Let me show you a little bit behind the scenes what's going on here. What is going on here? What is all this? Carlos, run me through it.
We're going to be flying, hopefully, without any incidents, around our beautiful boat.
He's FAA certified drone operator.
And we're going to be flying around this beautiful boat and showing this beautiful building.
Yes.
And hopefully show you guys some cool stuff while we're on the boat.
We're going to show you Greater Fort Lauderdale up in the Sunshine State. And this is not just a boat. This is a San Lorenzo. This is a yacht. Why a yacht? Well, I didn't know this until I did research on Fort Lauderdale and Greater Fort Lauderdale. Turns out that this is the yachting capital of the entire world. Fort Lauderdale is known as the Venice of America.
This is a good example of where the country is at. Every now and then, I like to check in with Jimmy Fallon's The Tonight Show, my colleague, and I like to see where is the country at? Where is the United States right now? I think it's